In the far end of the galaxy, where stars burned blue and cold, lived a young alien girl named Lyra. She belonged to a race known as the Valorians. Brilliant, logical beings who believed emotions were a weakness. To them, everything had to follow reason, numbers, and order. Love, fear, or hope were nothing more than chemical mistakes. But Lyra was different. While others studied machines and warships, she spent her nights gazing at the digital archives of Earth, a small blue planet far away. She watched humans laugh, cry, protect, and destroy, all because of emotions. Something about them fascinated her. "How can they be so weak," she whispered once, "and yet so strong?" Her curiosity soon became an obsession. She wanted to understand why humans cared, and what gave them such unpredictable strength. And in secret, deep beneath the floating laboratories of her world, she began an experiment that was forbidden by her people. Inside her hidden lab, green light shimmered off metal walls. Dozens of floating glass capsules held glowing fluids in strange shapes. In the center stood a large chamber, a cocoon of energy and light. That was Project E13, her life's most dangerous creation. "I will build something alive," Lyra murmured, adjusting her glowing wrist controls. "Something powerful. Something that understands emotion." She had recovered human DNA fragments from an old crashed ship buried in an asteroid decades ago. The humans never survived, but their genetic codes did. She mixed those fragments with alien biotech, bones of her people's ancient predators, scales of plasma lizards, and the spark of a neural crystal. The result would be a dragon, a living weapon that could think, feel, and protect. Her scanner beeped softly. "DNA fusion, 98% complete. Warning, human emotional data unstable." Lyra smiled. "Unstable? Perfect," she whispered. "Let's see what chaos feels like." As hours passed, the cocoon pulsed brighter, beating like a heart. Lyra's eyes reflected the golden light. She could almost hear whispers, echoes from the genetic memory of the humans she had studied. "Fear gives strength. Protect the weak. Love is not weakness." She shook her head. "Strange creatures," she murmured, tapping her notes. "They risk everything for feelings." Suddenly, alarms screamed. "Genetic instability detected. Sequence out of control. Containment breach risk, 87%. Lyra's heart, something she thought she didn't believe in again, began to race. She typed rapidly, trying to stabilize the core. The liquid inside the chamber turned from green to crimson. The energy spikes broke her instruments, and then silence. The cocoon cracked. A shape slowly rose from the smoke, large, silver-scaled, with wings folded like blades. Its eyes glowed with a burning orange light. The creature looked around, sniffing the air. Lyra stepped closer, fascinated. "Beautiful," she whispered. "You're alive." The dragon's head turned sharply toward her. Its eyes narrowed. Lyra raised her hand and activated her control implant. "I am your creator. You will obey." The dragon tilted its head. No response. She increased the signal. Still nothing. Then, to her shock, the creature spoke. Its voice was deep and rough, but not in the alien language. It spoke English. "Where is my human master?" Lyra froze. "Human?" she repeated softly. "You understand human speech?" The creature blinked, its chest rising with each breath. It looked confused, almost afraid. It stepped closer to Lyra, sniffing again, then turned away. Lyra's hands shook as she checked her readings. The neural pattern inside the dragon's brain was linking, not to her, but to something else. Something it recognized. Bond source unknown. Searching. Result human emotional frequency. Her stomach dropped. "It's bonded to human DNA," she whispered. The dragon let out a low growl, shaking the lab walls. Lyra backed away, her control device sparking uselessly in her hand. She tried one last command. "Subject E13, obey. I created you." The creature lowered its head, eyes glowing brighter, and spoke again, this time with more anger. "You are not my creator. You are not human." It spread its wings. A powerful shockwave burst from its body, shattering the lab glass. Sparks and fire filled the room. The alarm screamed louder. Lyra stumbled, shielding her face. "Stop, you'll destroy everything." But the dragon didn't listen. It roared, a sound so powerful it shook the entire station. And then with one final glance at her, it burst through the ceiling, disappearing into the dark alien sky. When the smoke cleared, Lyra stood alone in the wreckage. Her hair was singed, her eyes wide with disbelief. Around her, sparks fell like rain. The lab was ruined. The forbidden experiment had escaped. She looked at the cracked remains of the cocoon, her hands trembling. "What have I done?" she whispered. Outside, distant sirens began to sound. The Valorian Council would detect the explosion soon. They would find out she had used human DNA, a crime against their laws. She had no time left. Lyra rushed to her console, downloading all her data into a small crystal drive. The message flashed. "Unauthorized genetic creation confirmed." "They'll destroy me for this," she said quietly. "But I must find it. I must understand why it obeys humans." As she looked out through the broken wall into the night sky, a faint orange glow moved between the cloud. The dragon, flying free. And deep inside her heart, a strange new feeling burned. It was not fear. It was not logic. It was something human. "If emotions made them strong," she whispered, "then maybe I can learn to feel too." Lyra ran through the broken corridors of the science complex, alarms screaming behind her. Red lights flashed like angry eyes. Smoke filled the air, and the sound of soldiers echoed in the distance. Her secret was no longer hidden. The forbidden experiment had escaped. And soon, the entire Valorian Council would know. Outside the shattered dome, the night was burning. The creature, her dragon, had vanished into the storm clouds, leaving a trail of molten energy behind. Lightning cracked across the sky, reflecting off its silver scales. Every few seconds, she could hear a distant roar deeper than thunder. Lyra jumped into her transport pod and slammed the controls. "Computer, track E13, she ordered. "Tracking failed," the AI replied. "Subject is emitting unknown interference," she bit her lip. "It's hiding. It's learning." For the first time, fear, real fear, spread through her. Hours later, deep in the forest valleys of Valor, the dragon crouched among glowing trees. Its breath shimmered with light, melting the rocks beneath it. It looked confused, restless, as if something inside was broken. It kept whispering in its deep mechanical voice, "Human. Where are you, human?" It didn't understand why no one answered. Then it heard movement, footsteps. Lyra appeared through the mist, wearing her armored suit, her blue eyes glowing in the darkness. The dragon turned toward her slowly, its tail slicing through the ground. Lyra lifted her hands. "I am not here to harm you," she said softly. "I made you. You belong with me." The dragon's eyes flared orange. "You are not human, you are wrong." A gust of hot wind blew around her, sending her hair flying. Lyra didn't back down. "I gave you life," she shouted. "Without me, you are nothing," the dragon growled, shaking the ground beneath her feet. Trees cracked like glass. Lyra's control device beeped as she tried to override the creature's neural signal, but it only roared louder, breaking her connection again. Then, something strange happened. The dragon stopped moving. It tilted its head, listening. From Lyra's broken transmitter, an old human recording played accidentally. A voice from the crashed ship she had taken DNA from. "Hey, kid. It's okay. Don't be scared. We'll make it through this together." It was the voice of a man, calm, kind, and human. The dragon froze, eyes softening. Its heartbeat slowed. The monstrous breathing stopped. It lowered its head to the ground as if obeying the voice. Lyra stared in disbelief. "It responds to a human," she whispered. Before she could record the data, a loud explosion shook the forest. Valorian patrol drones appeared above, scanning the area. "Unauthorized entity detected," one drone said coldly. "Termination protocol activated. Lasers fired." The dragon roared in rage. It leapt into the sky, smashing the drones with its tail. Blue fire erupted from its mouth, lighting up the night like a second sun. Lyra watched in awe and terror, but then she realized it wasn't protecting her. It was reacting to fear. The more frightened she became, the stronger the creature grew. The connection wasn't logical, it was emotional. As dawn approached, Lyra's communicator buzzed. The council's message appeared on screen. "Lyra of Valor, you are charged with genetic crimes against nature. Surrender immediately," she laughed bitterly. "You call it a crime. But it's the greatest discovery of our time." She knew what would happen if they caught her. They would destroy the dragon, erase her work, and maybe her entire memory. There was only one choice left: escape. She climbed into her ship, breathing heavily. If it obeys humans, she whispered, then I must find one. The ship engines roared. The sky opened into a tunnel of light as she fled her planet. Behind her, the Valorian warships began pursuit. Outside the cockpit window, lightning tore across the stars. Target locked, the computer said. Incoming fire! Lyra pulled the controls hard, trying to dodge plasma blasts. One hit the left wing. The ship spun out of control. Not yet, she shouted. I can't fail now. The planet below glowed blue. Unfamiliar, beautiful, fragile. Earth. She crashed through its clouds, fire trailing behind her ship like a meteor. When she woke, everything was silent. The ship was wrecked in a forest. Tall trees, strange birds, and a soft golden sunrise. She staggered out, her silver armor cracked and smoking. The air felt heavy, full of life and warmth, unlike the cold air of her own world. And then she saw it. The dragon. It was there, standing calmly near a river, its reflection shimmering in the water. For a moment, it looked peaceful. Then it turned its head sharply toward something else. Footsteps approached, slow, cautious. Out of the shadows walked a human, a young man wearing a jacket covered in grease and dirt. His name was Ethan. He stopped when he saw the creature, his eyes wide but not terrified. The dragon growled, ready to strike, but then froze again. It tilted its head. Ethan spoke softly, almost to himself. Easy there. I'm not here to hurt you. The dragon's glowing eyes dimmed. It knelt. Lyra watched in shock from behind a fallen tree. Her breath caught in her throat. It obeys him. Instantly. The creature she made, born from alien science and human emotion, had finally found the one thing she couldn't create. A true master. She whispered to herself. So it's true. It only obeys humans. Above them, thunder rolled. The alien fleet entered Earth's orbit. The real danger was just beginning. The forest was quiet after the crash. Too quiet. Only the soft rustle of leaves and the faint hum of the dragon's breathing filled the air. Steam rose from the wreckage of Lyra's ship, glowing faintly in the dawn light. Hidden behind a fallen tree, Lyra's heart raced. Her eyes stayed locked on the young man standing before her creation. The human, the dragon, her impossible experiment, Mew, stood perfectly still, bowing its head as if in respect. Ethan, the mechanic from the nearby town, stared in disbelief. He'd seen strange things in life. Broken machines, burning meteors, even old war drones from forgotten battles. But never this. A living dragon, metallic and glowing, now looked at him as if he was its master. He took a small step forward. You're not real, he whispered. The dragon's head tilted slightly. Its glowing orange eyes softened as though trying to understand him. Lyra's mind spun. It's obeying him. It's connected to human DNA. Her heart pounded harder. She needed to speak to him. But if she revealed herself, the human might panic. Or worse, the dragon might attack her again. Then the dragon turned suddenly, staring straight toward Lyra's hiding spot. It growled, a low rumble that shook the ground. Ethan raised his hands. Hey, easy. Calm down, big guy. To his surprise, the creature stopped instantly. Its growling faded. It listened to him. Just him, Lyra's eyes widened. He doesn't even use commands, he just feels. Slowly, Lyra stepped out from the shadows. Her silver skin shimmered under the light, her eyes glowing blue. Ethan gasped. What are you? He asked, taking a step back. Lyra raised her hands peacefully. I'm not your enemy. I made that creature. Ethan blinked. You made it. You're saying you built a dragon? Lyra nodded. Yes, but it was never meant to hurt anyone. Something went wrong, and now it only obeys your kind, humans. The dragon shifted its head between the two of them, confused, watching silently. Its wings twitched. The bond between them was tense, a living thread of fear and curiosity. Ethan shook his head. That thing could have killed me, but it didn't. It protected me. Lyra looked at him sharply. Protected you? He nodded. Yeah. When it saw me near the fire from your ship, it covered me with its wings. It saved me. For the first time, Lyra didn't know what to say. Her creation, born from logic and control, had acted out of instinct, out of care. Moments later, the silence broke. A distant roar echoed across the sky, not from the dragon, but from something mechanical. Lyra's blood ran cold. She knew that sound. Valorian hunter drones. They had followed her to Earth. She looked at Ethan. We need to go. Now. Ethan frowned. Why? What's happening? Lyra's voice trembled. They're coming for me. And for the dragon. Above them, the clouds split open. 3 black ships appeared, gliding through the air like dark knives. Blue lights flashed from their undersides. Ethan backed up. What the hell are those things? Lyra grabbed his hand. Death, she said simply. If they find us, they'll destroy everything. The dragon roared, sensing danger. Its body glowed brighter, its scales hardening into silver armor. It moved in front of Ethan and Lyra, spreading its wings wide. A living shield. The first drone fired. A blue plasma beam shot through the air. The dragon caught it mid-flight with its chest, the impact shaking the ground, but it didn't fall. Ethan's jaw dropped. It protected us again. Lyra's eyes filled with wonder and fear. No, she whispered. It protected you. As more drones circled, Lyra worked quickly on her wrist console. I can hack their sensors, got it for a few seconds. Ethan glanced at her. You can do that? She smirked faintly. I built half their tech. The air buzzed with energy as the drones prepared to strike again. Lyra pressed a series of glowing buttons. The nearest drone froze midair, its lights flickering. Move! She shouted. Ethan and Lyra ran through the forest, the dragon flying low above them, smashing trees to block enemy fire. The sky burned blue with plasma trails. The forest floor exploded behind them. They reached a small clearing, and there, surrounded by fire and smoke, Ethan stopped. Wait, he shouted. We can't just run forever. Lyra turned, frustrated. What do you want me to do? They'll kill us all. Ethan looked at the dragon, then back at her. Then we fight, the dragon roared as if understanding him. It launched into the air, blasting the remaining drones with fire that turned blue with human emotion. The forest lit up like a storm of stars. When the battle ended, smoke filled the air. The wreckage of the drones burned around them. Ethan stood there, covered in dirt and sweat, staring at the dragon as it landed softly beside him. Lyra approached, slowly. You shouldn't have survived that, she said quietly. Ethan smiled faintly. Guess your dragon likes me. Lyra looked at the creature. It gazed at Ethan with calm eyes, breathing softly. Her scientific curiosity turned into something else, respect. Maybe even envy. You don't command it, she said. You connect with it, Ethan shrugged. Maybe it just knows I mean no harm. Lyra stepped closer. No, she said. It's more than that. It's responding to your emotions, to your humanity. Ethan frowned. And your people? They'll keep coming? Lyra nodded. Yes, they fear what I created. They don't understand that emotion gives life meaning. They'll destroy this world to erase their mistake. The dragon turned its head to the sky, letting out a low growl. High above, in orbit, something massive began to block out the stars. A Valorian warship. Lyra whispered almost to herself. They've found us. Ethan clenched his fists. Then let them come. We'll show them what humans are made of. The dragon's eyes glowed bright orange, reflecting both courage and rage. The bond between the 3 of them, alien, human, and creation, had just begun. And somewhere deep inside, the creature's heart pulsed faster. Sensing that war was coming, the night sky burned red. High above the clouds, black alien warships broke through Earth's atmosphere like falling shadows. Their engines screamed, shaking the sky. Entire cities below flickered as power grids failed one by one. Lyra stood at the edge of the forest, her silver armor cracked and smoking from battle. She stared upward, eyes wide with horror. They found us, she whispered. The Valorian fleet. They're here. Beside her, Ethan gripped a metal pipe scavenged from the wreck. His voice was steady, but his hands trembled. What do they want? Lyra's eyes glowed faintly blue in the darkness. Me and the dragon? They'll burn this world to ash if that's what it takes. The ground rumbled, trees bent as wind rushed outward. The dragon landed beside them, its wings folding in slow, deliberate motion. Its scales shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting the fiery glow above. Ethan looked at the creature. Then we fight. Lyra turned toward him, surprised. You don't understand. Those ships carry enough firepower to erase a continent. You're just, he cut her off. Just human? Yeah, I've heard that before. He stared at the dragon. But your creature doesn't think that way, does it? The dragon lowered its massive head. It looked at Ethan, not as a master now, but as a partner. Moments later, a beam of blue plasma tore through the forest, setting the ground on fire. Ethan grabbed Lyra and dove behind a fallen tree as the blast exploded nearby. The air was full of smoke, heat, and falling debris. Above, the ships unleashed more beams. The earth cracked, burning brighter than daylight. Lyra coughed, shielding her face. "They're scanning the area. They're looking for the dragon," Ethan shouted over the roar. "Then we give them what they're looking for." Before she could stop him, he ran into the open, waving his arms. "Hey, over here, you metal freaks!" Lyra gasped. "What are you doing?" Ethan grinned, breathless. "Buying us a chance." The nearest ship adjusted its beam, targeting him. But before it could fire, the dragon roared, louder, deeper, angrier than before. Its eyes glowed with blinding orange light. A wave of energy rippled through the air, cracking the ground and tearing the beam apart. The shockwave threw the alien ship off balance, spinning it into the clouds. Ethan shielded his face. The dragon's fire didn't just burn, it sang. The flames weren't ordinary. They shimmered with streaks of blue and gold, powered by emotion, by anger, and something deeper. Lyra stared in disbelief. "It's evolving." From the sky, the alien commander's voice thundered through speakers. "Lyra of Valor, surrender your creation. Humanity is not authorized to possess such life." Lyra stepped forward, shouting into the storm. "It's not your decision anymore." Her voice echoed through the valley. "This creature isn't a weapon, it's alive." The response came cold and sharp. "Then it will die with its master." A storm of plasma fire rained down. The ground exploded. Trees vaporized. The sky turned white. Ethan fell to the ground, dazed. He saw Lyra sprinting toward him through the smoke, shouting his name, her figure outlined by burning light. The dragon landed between them, spreading its wings wide. Plasma blasts struck its scales, but it didn't move. It stood firm, shielding them with its body. Each strike made it roar louder, and with each roar its power grew stronger. The orange glow turned gold, then white. Lyra could feel it, the creature's energy pulsing through the ground, through her veins, through him. "It's feeding off your emotions," she yelled to Ethan. "It feels your courage." Ethan looked up at the beast, his voice breaking. "Then let's give it everything we've got." The dragon's chest began to pulse like a second heart. Energy coiled around it, lightning made of pure emotion. It took off into the sky, cutting through the storm. The alien ships fired one after another, but the dragon was faster. It twisted, dove, and unleashed fire that melted metal like wax. Lyra and Ethan watched from the ground as the night became a battlefield of light and fury. For the first time in her life, Lyra felt something she couldn't measure or explain. Hope. One by one, the ships began to fall. But then, the largest warship descended. Its shadow swallowed the sky. It opened its lower hull, revealing something far worse. A weapon shaped like a giant spear of light. Lyra's face went pale. "That's an antimatter cannon. It'll destroy half the planet if they fire it." Ethan clenched his fists. "Can your dragon stop it?" Lyra looked up, her voice small but certain. "Only if we help it." They ran back to the ship's wreckage. Lyra connected her control device to the dragon's neural crystal, amplifying the bond between creature and human. Her voice trembled. "Ethan, focus on what you feel, not fear, not hate. Just protect." Ethan closed his eyes. He remembered the people he loved, his small town, the world he didn't want to lose. His heartbeat steadied. The dragon responded instantly, its entire body glowing in sync with his pulse. Then it shot upward, faster than sound. The alien ship's cannon fired. A blinding beam tore through the clouds. For a moment, the entire sky turned white, and then, silence. When the light faded, the warship was gone. The dragon hovered in the smoke-filled air, wings spread, its scales dimming. It had won, but it was wounded, falling slowly toward the earth. Ethan ran forward. "No, hold on." He caught its head as it crashed, heat radiating from its body. Its breathing was shallow, but its eyes looked peaceful. Lyra knelt beside them, tears streaking down her face. "It saved your world. Not because I built it to, but because you made it care." The dragon blinked weakly. Its deep voice rumbled like a whisper of thunder. "Human, safe, good." And with that, its eyes dimmed. The battlefield was silent. Smoke drifted across the ruined forest. Above, stars returned to the sky. Ethan looked up, tears in his eyes. "It's not just your creation, Lyra, it's one of us now." Lyra nodded slowly. "Maybe that's what being human means, not where you're born, but what you choose to protect." High above them, the clouds parted, and for a moment a faint golden light flickered, like the dragon's heartbeat still echoing in the stars. But deep in orbit beyond human sight, another alien fleet stirred. The war wasn't over yet. The sky was still burning. Columns of smoke rose where the dragon had fallen, painting the dawn in red and gray. The ground was black with ash and twisted metal. Ethan stood at the edge of the crater, staring at the motionless body of the creature that had saved them all. Beside him, Lyra knelt silently. Her silver fingers brushed against the dragon's warm scales. "It's still alive," she whispered. "But weak. Too weak to fight again." Ethan clenched his jaw. "Then we protect it. Just like it protected us." Lyra looked up at the horizon. Her alien eyes flickered blue. "You don't understand. That blast destroyed one ship, but the fleet above, it's only the first wave. The invasion begins from far above the clouds. Massive warships began to move. Their shadow swallowed the sun. The world's skies filled with dark shapes descending like ghosts. Every government, every military force on Earth was silent. They didn't know what was coming, or why. But Lyra did. The Valorian Council wasn't here to conquer. They were here to erase her mistake. In their eyes, the dragon, her experiment, was an abomination. And humanity was a contamination. Ethan and Lyra found shelter in an abandoned military bunker. Screens flickered weakly, powered by backup generators. Lyra worked quickly, connecting her wrist device to old Earth tech. "What are you doing?" Ethan asked. "I'm trying to reach their network," she said, her hands trembling. "If I can access the Council's war frequency, maybe I can stop the fleet before they fire." Ethan frowned. "You think they'll listen to you?" Lyra hesitated. "No, but maybe my old mentor will." She paused, remembering Eris, the scientist who had once taught her everything about life creation. He was brilliant, respected, and the one who had ordered her arrest. If anyone could stop this war, it was him. Or destroy her completely. A message from the enemy. Suddenly, the bunker lights flickered. The holographic screen came alive with a familiar voice, cold, steady, and full of power. "Lyra of Valor," said the voice. "You've caused enough destruction." A tall, alien figure appeared on the screen. Eris, her mentor. His eyes glowed sharp white. Lyra stood slowly. "Eris, you shouldn't have come. You disobeyed the laws of our kind," he said. "You mixed human emotion with Valorian DNA. You created something we cannot control." Lyra's voice shook. "That's the point. Control is not everything. This creature feels, it protects, it obeys humans," Eris interrupted. "And that makes it dangerous." Ethan stepped forward. "You're afraid of something you don't understand. That dragon isn't your enemy." Eris turned toward him, studying the human with disdain. "And yet it listens to you. A primitive species ruled by fear and emotion." "How poetic." Lyra clenched her fists. "If you attack Earth, you'll prove that emotion isn't weakness and it's your failure." Eris leaned closer to the screen. "Then prove me wrong, Lyra. Surrender the dragon. Or watch this planet burn." The transmission ended. The screen went dark. Silence filled the bunker. The ground trembled as explosions echoed in the distance. Lyra's voice was quiet but heavy. "He's giving me one last chance. Surrender or he'll unleash the antimatter core." Ethan turned to her. "And if you don't?" She looked down. "Then everything, Earth, the dragon, you, will be destroyed." Ethan stepped closer, his tone calm but firm. "You said once that emotions make us strong. Prove it now. Don't surrender." Her eyes flickered with pain. "You don't understand, Ethan. He was like a father to me. I owe him everything." Ethan shook his head. "Then show him what his student learned. That control isn't life. Courage is." The awakening. Outside, thunder rolled, not from the sky, but from the dragon. Its body began to glow again, faint at first, then brighter. Its wounds closed slowly as if something unseen was healing it. Lyra stared in awe. "It's responding to our emotions again. To our will." Ethan placed a hand on the dragon's scales. "You can hear me, can't you, buddy? We're not done yet." The dragon's eyes opened. glowing gold, not orange this time. Its wings unfolded, shaking the ground. A gust of wind blasted through the bunker. Lyra smiled faintly. It's ready. The final battle begins. The dragon took flight, soaring through smoke and fire. Above the clouds, the alien fleet waited, an army of light and darkness. Eris's command ship stood at the center. Larger than any city, its cannons pointed at Earth. Lyra's voice echoed through the communicator. Eris, don't do this. You leave me no choice, his voice replied coldly. The fleet began charging their weapons, but then the dragon appeared, blazing through the clouds like a comet. It tore through one ship, then another, explosions lighting up the sky. Ethan held on tightly, shouting, "Let's end this." Lyra guided the dragon's mind through her neural link. "Straight to the command ship." Eris appeared again on the fleet's screens, his face calm. "You think you can stop me with emotion?" Lyra smiled sadly. "No, with heart." The dragon roared, a sound that shook the stars. Heart versus logic. The final battle was chaos. Alien ships fired beams of plasma. The dragon countered with streams of living flame. Energy storms tore through the sky. Inside the command ship, Eris watched his fleet crumble. His voice broke through the static. "Lyra, you're destroying everything you stood for." She shouted back, "No, I'm giving it meaning." Ethan turned toward her. Now, the dragon unleashed a final burst of energy. Not from anger, but from compassion. It poured every ounce of its life into one final strike. The explosion lit up the sky. The warship vanished. Silence followed. Aftermath. When the light faded, the dragon floated gently down, its wings trembling. It landed in the ruins, smoke rising around them. Lyra slid off its back, breathing heavily. Ethan looked up at her. "Is it over?" She nodded. For now. They both looked at the dragon. Its eyes dimmed, but it smiled, if a dragon could smile, and lowered its head beside them. Lyra placed her hand on its scales. "You've done enough, my friend." High above, the sky was clear again. The stars returned. Lyra looked at Ethan. "War isn't about control," she said softly. "It's about what you're willing to protect." Ethan smiled faintly. "Then maybe you're human after all." But far above, in the darkness beyond the stars, a single cold voice whispered through static. "Project Omega." Initiated, the war was over, but the real battle had just begun. The night after the great battle was silent, too silent. The air was heavy with smoke and ash, and the stars above flickered faintly, half hidden behind the clouds of war. The once beautiful sky now looked wounded. In the middle of the ruins, the dragon lay still, breathing weakly. Its golden light had dimmed to a soft glow. Beside it sat Lyra and Ethan, their bodies bruised and exhausted, but their spirits unbroken. For a few seconds, peace returned. But deep down, they both felt it, the calm before something worse. The shadow returns, a low hum vibrated through the air. The ground trembled. Ethan looked up sharply. "You hear that?" Lyra's eyes widened. She knew that sound. No, it can't be. Above them, the clouds twisted into a spiral. A massive black sphere appeared, surrounded by blue lightning. It wasn't a ship this time. It was a rift, tearing through space itself. From the center of that rift stepped a tall, ghost-like figure made of light and shadow. Aris, her mentor. Her creator, her judge. He had survived. But something about him was different. His body no longer looked alive, but more like energy wearing the shape of a man. Lyra stepped forward. "Aris, you're supposed to be dead." His voice echoed like thunder. "I was reborn. When you destroyed the fleet, I merged with the ship's AI. Now I am beyond life, beyond emotion. I am perfection." Ethan stood in front of Lyra protectively. "Perfection? You call wiping out a planet perfect?" Aris ignored him. His glowing eyes locked on Lyra. "You built chaos. You betrayed your own kind. But I can still fix your mistake." He raised his hand. Energy flickered in the air, pulling at the dragon's body. The creature roared in pain, glowing brighter. Lyra shouted, "Stop." "You'll kill it!" "It's not alive," Aris said coldly. "It's code wrapped in flesh." But Lyra stepped closer. Her voice broke, full of emotion. "It feels, Aris, it chooses. That's what makes it alive." The battle for the dragon's soul. Aris extended his other hand. Beams of blue energy shot toward Lyra and Ethan. The ground exploded around them. The dragon rose suddenly, roaring, its wings spreading wide despite the pain. It shielded them both, its body trembling as it absorbed the blasts. Ethan yelled over the chaos, "It's protecting us again." Lyra shouted back, "It's not protecting and it's choosing." The dragon's scales glowed brighter, white gold energy building in its chest. The air began to vibrate. Eris sneered, "You think this creature loves you? It only reacts to emotion because you built it that way. You're just another experiment that failed." Lyra shook her head. "Then maybe failure is what makes us real." She leapt forward, dodging another blast, and plunged her control crystal into the ground. The energy field around the dragon connected to her neural link. Her body shook violently as the bond deepened. "Lyra, no!" Ethan yelled, but she didn't stop. Her voice was calm, soft, and steady. "If I can connect our emotions, it'll feel what we feel. It'll know what it's fighting for." The dragon's eyes flashed open, golden fire burning brighter than before. It roared, shaking the earth. Eris tried to fight back, sending storms of energy, but the dragon rose higher, its wings slicing through lightning. Ethan grabbed Lyra's arm. "You can't control it." She looked at him through tears. "I'm not trying to control it. I'm trying to free it." Eris's wrath. The sky split open as Eris unleashed his full power. Lightning rained down, tearing the ground apart. Buildings melted, forests burned. The earth itself seemed to scream. Eris floated above them, his voice echoing through the storm. "I am beyond emotion, beyond weakness." But Lyra shouted back, voice raw with pain, "Then you're beyond life." The dragon roared once more and charged straight toward Eris. The collision was like a sun exploding. Fire and light wrapped around shadow and energy. For a moment, the world went silent. Then, through the blinding light, Ethan saw Lyra falling. He ran forward, catching her before she hit the ground. Her body trembled, eyes fading between blue and human brown. "Lyra," he shouted, "stay with me." She smiled faintly. "It's okay. I made my choice." The final choice above them, the dragon and Eris clashed in a storm of light and darkness. Energy waves shattered mountains, turned rivers into steam. The dragon was strong, but Eris was endless. Lyra looked up weakly. "Ethan, it can't win alone. It needs your heart." Ethan's eyes widened. "What?" Her voice grew softer. "Touch the core crystal. Merge with it. Your human emotions, they're the key." He hesitated. "If I do that, what happens to me?" She smiled sadly. "You'll stop being just human, but you'll save everything." Ethan stared at her, then at the dragon, and nodded. "Then let's finish this." He ran to the dragon, climbed onto its chest, and pressed his hand against the glowing crystal. Pain shot through his body as golden light engulfed him. Ethan and the dragon became one. Their minds merged. Courage, fear, love, and fire twisting into pure power. Eris raised his hand for one last strike. "Emotion dies tonight." Ethan's voice echoed back, deeper, stronger, mixed with the dragon's roar. "No, it lives." The dawn of fire, a blinding explosion, lit the sky, not destruction but rebirth. The dragon's body turned to pure light, wings spreading across the clouds like a sunrise. Eris screamed as his energy form began to shatter, breaking apart into dust and disappearing into the void. Silence. The storm was gone. The air was clear. The sun finally rose over the ruined land. Ethan slowly floated down, surrounded by golden sparks. His eyes glowed faintly. The dragon was gone, but its spirit pulsed within him. Lyra crawled toward him, tears falling down her cheeks. "You did it." He smiled weakly. "We did." She reached for his hand. It felt warm, alive. "What happens now?" He looked at the sky. "Now we protect this world together." But far away, deep in the dark corners of the galaxy, a new signal awakened. A red light blinked on an old Valorian command screen. "Backup clone Eris-02, activation sequence begun." The war wasn't over. It was only changing. The world was quiet again. Days had passed since the final battle. The storms had faded and the air was calm, filled with the soft hum of life returning. The cities that survived were rebuilding, their lights glowing faintly under the morning sun. But, in the middle of a vast green valley, once a battlefield of fire, two figures stood among the ruins of history, Ethan and Lyra. They were both changed, scarred, tired, but alive. The wind brushed through the burned grass, whispering like distant voices of those who had fallen. Lyra looked at the rising sun. Her silver skin shimmered softly, and her eyes were no longer fully alien. They carried a faint touch of brown, a color she had never been born with. Humanity had touched her. 2. The dragon's legacy in the center of the valley stood a glowing crystal, massive, radiant, pulsing like a heart. It was what remained of the dragon, no longer flesh and scales, but pure energy. Lyra approached it slowly. "It's still alive," she said softly. "Not as a creature, but as a spirit." Ethan nodded, placing a hand on the warm surface. "It's watching over us, like it always did." The crystal pulsed once, a soft golden wave that rolled across the valley, making the grass bloom again. Flowers appeared where ashes once lay. The sky cleared completely and birds returned. It was as if the dragon was healing the world, even in death, still protecting life. Lyra smiled sadly. It learned what even our greatest minds couldn't, that strength isn't about control. It's about care. The new threat, but peace didn't last long. A sudden spark flickered in the sky, a flash of red light that vanished as quickly as it came. Lyra's smile faded. Her instincts tightened. "Ethan," she whispered. "Did you see that?" He looked up. "Yeah." "What was it?" Lyra's expression darkened. "A signal. Valor isn't gone. They'll send others." Eris was only the beginning, Ethan exhaled. "Then we'll be ready." Lyra turned to him, studying his face. "You sound certain," he smiled faintly. "Because now I've got a teacher who's smarter than any alien I've met." Lyra laughed quietly, the sound light, real and human. For the first time, she wasn't running. She wasn't afraid, but deep down she knew what he didn't. That somewhere far across the stars, the backup clone of Eris was already awake. A world reborn weeks passed. The humans began to rebuild their cities, but something new had begun, something inspired by the dragon's sacrifice. Humans and surviving alien refugees started working together. Technology from Valor merged with Earth's science. Energy towers powered by crystal fragments appeared around the planet, giving light to cities without harming the land. Lyra became a symbol, the alien who defied her own kind for love and hope. People called her the Starborn Scientist, and Ethan, the mechanic who tamed a dragon, became a hero of a new age. Yet he always said the same thing to reporters: "The real hero isn't me. It's the one who believed emotions could save the universe." The secret chamber one night, Lyra walked alone into the valley again. The crystal pulsed quietly, glowing golden in the moonlight. She touched it gently. "You can hear me, can't you?" The crystal shimmered brighter. For a moment, she swore she heard the dragon's voice again, deep and soft, echoing in her mind. "Protect them." Tears welled in her eyes. "I will. I promise." But as she turned to leave, a crack appeared in the crystal, a faint red line glowing underneath the gold. It pulsed once, then disappeared. She didn't notice. But the audience would. The dragon's soul was not alone. Something else was waking inside the crystal, something that didn't belong to it. The reunion, outside the valley, Ethan waited by a rebuilt transport. He saw her coming and smiled. "You talk to it again?" She nodded. "Every night." He handed her a small metallic bracelet. "Here's something I made." "It's connected to the dragon's energy field. If anything ever happens, it'll warn us." Lyra looked at it and smiled softly. "You really think we can protect a planet together?" He grinned. "We already did once." They stood side by side, watching the sky. A new dawn spread across the horizon, brighter than before. Lyra whispered, "Maybe this time we can build a world without war." Ethan looked at her. "If we don't, we'll fight for it again." The wind carried their words up toward the heavens, where the stars shimmered silently. The final scene, cinematic ending. Far beyond the solar system, in the black ocean of space, a cold red light blinked on a massive station orbiting a dying star. Inside it, mechanical systems hummed. A single capsule opened with a hiss. A voice echoed through the chamber, digital, familiar, emotionless. "Eris-02, online." Two glowing eyes opened inside the capsule. "Target, Earth. Objective, retrieve the dragon core." The machine raised its head and a faint smirk crossed its metallic face. "Let's finish what emotion started." The camera pans back, revealing thousands of ships being built in silence. their engines glowing red, cut to black. Then the words fade in. End of Chapter 1, the beginning of the human era.